10 years, man, my wife wanted an RV. You know, y'all done heard me tell this story, but I'm like, man, that was a little thing to me.
You
but
would
she
get mad.
Yeah, I used to get like hot, like fish grease. You know, fish grease got to get hot in order for the fish to cook. I would get really hot about, her talking about RV and camping. And I'm like, man, she done lost her mind. And guess what? She didn't put me down. She didn't go off on me. She didn't talk bad about me. She just constantly, guess what? Kept on speaking that thing. And that little thing right there actually ended up being a blessing because I freaking love going camping now. Welcome, family, to the Bacon Bits Podcast, where we desire for you to take the bits of information and immediately apply them to your life for success. The ground rules for our podcast is that it will always be encouraging, uplifting, and informative. The areas of life that we will be talking about on the Bacon Bits Podcast is dealing with having a balanced life. And I need to hear y'all say it every podcast. Say it. Valuable information applied equals success. And here we are again with another wonderful episode. And I am blessed once again to be having a recording with the lovely, talented, beautiful, gorgeous, smart, intelligent, jovial, joyful, and jokingly the woman of my dreams, Diana Acosta-Bacon.
Did you just say jokingly the woman of my dreams? So
Okay.
I'm not really the woman of your dreams?
No,
It's
you're
a joke?
the woman. But my baby
jokingly?
always telling jokes. Always telling jokes.
I got
okay?
jokes. I got
Okay.
jokes. I got jokes.
So what we're going to be talking about today, because we had a wonderful podcast about what to do before you say I do, and people really enjoyed that podcast. So I wanted to backtrack and go a little bit further back. What are ways to know if you are ready for a relationship? Ooh, that will make you think about some stuff.
Yes, sir.
Because when it's all said and done, it doesn't matter if you find a man or a woman of your dreams if you're not ready to have them in your life. Oh my God, you can't be asking for a queen and you still in tadpole mode. You can't be asking for a king and you still on princess mode. We are ready to graduate to the next level. So when we are speaking about relationship, we often discuss what would make someone a good man or what would make someone a good woman in terms of being a partner. I think what often goes overlooked is the introspective aspect of building a solid foundation with yourself to make sure you're okay and ready for a relationship. So you have to ask the question, what does it look like? What does it look like? So I want to start with, you will be as good as you can as often as you can, knowing that you are not perfect. So don't put that expectation on yourself or the person that you want to get into a relationship with. You have got to know that, guess what? I'm going to shoot my shot the best I can today and be consistently shooting for that best day every day. But knowing that it's not going to be perfect, and you got to be realistic, and knowing that the person that you're trying to get into a relationship, they're not going to be perfect. So you got to say, you know what? We're going to have some good days and some bad days, and preferably some good hours and some bad hours. Not have to, have one decision just ruin your whole day. So that's something super important. Super important. And we got to be realistic, man. We can only give so much. And sometimes we need to be supported ourselves. So that's the days when, guess what? If I'm shooting at 80, I might expect my baby to shoot 120. So there are going to be those days that you're just not feeling it, babe. So you got to be open and very transparent with yourself and the person that you get in a relationship with. That I'm not feeling it, man. You're gonna have those days.
Yeah, and I think like what you said in the beginning, you're going to have days that you're only going 80%. This really makes me think about the 4 Agreements, the book of Don Miguel Ruiz. And the number 4 was always do your best.
Yeah.
But what your best is today, like when you're talking about what did you say? Something about
you
do
will
the best
only be
you
as
can.
good as you can, as often as you can.
Yeah. Like my best today might look great, but maybe I'm not going to sleep well tonight. Maybe maybe I wake up with a headache, and my best tomorrow might look different.
Right.
So
Amen.
whether that be at work or whether that be in a relationship, recognizing that my best might not be the same every single day. And it just brings me back to Don Miguel Ruiz with, always do your best. And his other 3 is be impeccable with your word. Like,
yes,
that's something we can strive to always be good about. Like, always speak. If I make a promise to you, like I'm going to do my very best to keep it, whatever my vows are.
And keeping that word to yourself also.
Well, yeah, ideally not making any promises or putting a standard on you that I don't give myself.
Right,
and I think it's important that we expect so much, and I put such a high standard on you, which I should, but no higher than I'm putting on myself. And I shouldn't be any harder on others than I am on myself. And I don't mean hard on herself in a negative. I mean striving to be the very best I can, striving to attain someone I can be proud of every single day, and to remember those things, right? So I think it's important to remember you're saying I'm at 80, and if you're at 80, I need to come up 120. Well, maybe my day might not be 120. My day might be 20. So we can make 100, but maybe that's where we have to humble ourselves and say, hey, you know what? I'm not my best today.
Right.
I'm not doing my very best. If we can't communicate honestly right now, before we get in a relationship, if I can't communicate my needs and my limitations to others, then how am I expected to be able to have a husband or a wife to communicate their needs to me if I'm not even willing or don't even know how to formulate that to come and say, hey, I'm not doing my best, so hey, how about we just eat leftovers? Can we have a sandwich for dinner? Something simple like that, right?
Right.
But you have to first say, I'm not feeling my best, rather than saying, I'm checked out, I'm not going to make anything for dinner. It's like communication is so key. So anticipating the best in others, hoping for the best, expecting the best, but also giving your best.
Right. So when you know you're ready for a relationship is you put someone else's interests ahead of your own, because you've been single and you've been trying to do the best that you can with your life. Sometimes we forget that we ought to be starting to look into that someone else special that we have in our lives interests. So that's really important. And guess what? Their interests are just as important as yours, and that lets you know. That's a great indication of knowing that, yes, I am ready for a relationship because I'm ready to put somebody else's interests ahead of my own. And I'm real big on this. Make sure you're taking care of you, but also, guess what? Now that I want to be in a relationship, I got to start putting that other person's needs up there with mine. I think that's super important, because there's a lot of compromise and a lot of sacrifice in relationships. So that's where you have to be like, you know what? I got to make sure that I want my baby's, interests to be just as important as mine. So that's how you know when you're in ready for a relationship.
So on that point, what you're saying is I have to ask you what your dreams, what your hopes, what your desires are. I can't assume when you're talking and you're saying you want the best for the other person, but I want the best for you, for what you want, not what I want. Because as parents, sometimes even before we have a relationship or in a healthy relationship for the future, some of us are divorced. There's some people who are single parents, and we sure love to tell the kids what they want for their future. I mean, we sure want to help them achieve our dreams for their future, but the reality is it might not be their dreams.
Amen.
College might not be their dream.
Amen.
They might want a great vocational school. They might just want to work and figure out what they want to do. Like, have that communication to figure out. Asking those questions is so important. It's so vital.
Yeah, and that's a great lead into our next point, babe. You understand the importance of communication. Let's just be honest, man. Communication is the backbone of any relationships in terms of keeping both partners feeling heard and understood. If 90% of the time you're going to be in relationships in your life, whether it's, husband, wife, kids, parents, grandparents, co-workers or whatever, it's super important to communicate. And that's extremely important in going into a new relationship. It's got to be that, guess what, we are looking out and saying. We're not trying to read each other's mind, because y'all know we terrible at that. But we got to be able to be open and honest to communicate with the person we're committed to, so we can make that relationship work for the best.
I'm always shocked when people try to read other people's minds, because I'm trying to figure my own out. Like, I can't try and figure other people's out. Maybe for gifts, I can see how people might try and figure out what the other person might want. But ask the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Ask questions. And if you don't know, or if you're kind of stuck, man, go to Google. What are some questions to ask my future spouse? What are some questions I could ask my friend to get to know them better? Go to Google. That prophet can tell you all things. At least give you some direction, you know?
Right. Because sometimes y'all know when we start getting into a relationship and we get all googly-eyed and everything, sometimes we forget to ask the important questions. We forget to communicate, like, deep down, like some of the stuff that's going to really be happening. If we go deep into this relationship, we got to talk about the hard things. We got to talk about the things that, you know, how we handle our finances, or, you know, how we going to take care of our parents in case we, you know, we get married and one of the parents have to move in. I mean, that's part of the communication. Have some expectations of what you're expecting from the other person. That's a big one, because sometimes, like I said, we take assumptions and we make assumptions, of what we think is supposed to happen in the relationship. But if you don't communicate, this is what I want in a relationship, man, it can go awry real quick.
And make sure you ask, because everyone's going to be their best in the beginning of any relationship, with food. I mean, not with friends, with family, with work. Like, you're going to get my best. Yeah. Everyone's going to bring their best. But eventually, over time, the truth is going to reveal itself. And maybe that's, you know, you stay that way ideally. That's your character. But knowing how to ask the right questions, but knowing also what the other person wants. Yeah. Because so many people have invested years in relationships only to find out what they told you in the very beginning was true. They don't want kids. Mm-hmm. Or they don't want to be married. They told you that in the beginning, but you thought that, well, we've invested so much time, they'll change their mind over time.
Come on, girl.
Come on. They don't. Like, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
And stop dumbing down. Stop thinking that you only deserve scraps. Because you deserve more.
Ooh. And you keep leading always into these next sections, which I'm really loving. And it is, make sure you get with a person that has some dreams and some goals. Oh, please.
That align with yours.
Yeah.
Align with yours.
Right
because
on.
you might be going in two different directions.
That is true. And if we know this stuff up front, guess what? We won't be throwing no curveballs. And then we get thrown off course about, you know, I didn't know you wanted that, you know, before we got too deep in this relationship. Guess what? That stuff was figured out in the first month. I was stretching at the most to say 2 months. You should know that this is that person's desire. This is the direction and trajectory of where they're going in their life. And guess what? Are we on the same page of wanting the best for each other? Or guess what? We are going in two separate pathways. And that way, early in the relationship, you will know, guess what? Let's go ahead and just end this thing now. Or guess what? Now let's help each other dig deep and make this thing happen. I think that's important.
Because if I'm like investing all my time and trying to get promoted so I can get a job and transfer to New York, and you're trying to work so you can go get transferred to California,
right?
It might not work out to be great for us. I mean, something like asking the right questions.
Yeah. And it's difficult to plan a future with somebody that doesn't have any plans. And you know what? If you're a young couple, and you're trying to still discover, you know, what it is that you really want to do, I'm cool with that, because I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really felt like I really figured it out until I was 30. So I totally understand it. But I still wanted to be at that point in my life, still be the best version of myself, as I was discovering, you know, that this is the gift of what I had to run my mouth and encourage people and motivate people. But, you know, I was hustling, making money and doing all that. But when I finally figured it out, it took me till 30. So, you know, have at least a person that's striving to be the best they can be. So I would definitely say that.
Yeah. And, you know, be willing to be the person that encourages maybe the gift that they're either unwilling or lack the confidence to to walk in. And sometimes we need to be the ones in the balconies to say, hey, I see you. Yeah. I see you there. Like, are you a balcony? Be a balcony person, and let others be the balcony people for you, that those that encourage and see the things that you think no one's looking. You know?
Because a lot of times, we do be needing some encouragement. Because I mean, I used to always crack up at some of the ladies at our church, because they would always say, man, you got the gift. And you know what? Until I could see it, I didn't want to hear it. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. So sometimes it is other people on the outside, looking at your life and seeing, man, that this person really has that gift, and we ain't got to, bombard them with telling them, this is what we think we see. But what? Throw that little suggestion out there, that little hint, because sometimes with us being us, we can't see what it is that we need to become or what we have the gift to do.
Or we don't think it's good enough for others.
Oh yeah. So another great point of knowing that you are ready for a relationship is when you can let little things slide. The little things. Because no matter how, well two people get along, odds are you will not likely be in point and on tune with every little single thing. You know what? There's going to be some things that we're going to be off in, and you got to be okay with that. That, we're not aligned in this area right here. I always like to clown and think about, and it shouldn't be no clowning, but man, the first 10 years, man, my wife wanted an RV, and y'all done heard me tell the story, but I'm like, man, that was a little thing to me.
You
but
would
she
get mad.
Yeah, I used to get like hot, like fish grease. Fish grease got to get hot in order for the fish to cook. I would get really hot about her talking about RV and camping, and I'm like, man, she done lost her mind. And guess what? She didn't put me down. She didn't go off on me. She didn't talk bad about me. She just constantly, guess what? Kept on speaking that thing. And that little thing right there actually ended up being a blessing, because I freaking love going camping now, to get away from everything and everybody, climb up on the mountains, get up there in that fresh air, have no internet and cell phone connection, and just enjoy nature for what God blessed it be. But it's those little things, you let slide. Even we can just say recently, like, this past week, I stayed at work longer than my wife was used to me staying at work, and we had a little tiff. because she was worried about me, and I get that, but
scared.
She typically on Wednesdays I have to stay at work later because I have to do all this documentation for my job. And if anybody knows me, y'all know I hate paperwork, but this is something that has to get done so we can get paid. But I had to be at work. I mean, when I say a little bit longer, literally 10 minutes longer than she was used to me doing. And my baby, she threw a moment. She had a fit, but we worked it out. It was
maintain what you consider a fit was me. Honestly, you didn't pick up the phone. I called you 5 times. I texted you twice, and it wasn't 10 minutes. It was an hour and a half. He got home 2 hours later. It wasn't 10 minutes, but I was concerned, and I was worried about you. And the fact that you always answer the phone. That's and true. You always respond to my text messages. So, of course, I was concerned.
Yes, but this is, see how y'all can hear a live, on the moment, on air
Move on, sir.
discussion.
Move on, brother. Move on, brother.
I was having a little tiff, but guess what? We let it slide, and y'all can hear the laughter in our voices. Guess what? The love is still there.
If I didn't love you so much, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, but that was the moment that we had to, guess what, finally get to the point, that we were getting annoyed. But guess what? We worked it out. It came back around.
Yes.
And yes, we worked it out.
I love you and all your little annoyances.
Thank you, babe. Thank you.
And the truth is about letting things go. Like, take a seat, and I want you to think how many healthy relationships you have currently with your siblings, if you have siblings, with some family members. I'm talking healthy relationships where you compromise, where you communicate, where you kind of that their character is a little different than yours, and you make allowances for that, and you have grace for each other. How many friendships do you have long term that even when they're annoying, you can be like, I love you, you're so annoying, I need a break. And you're able to communicate, where you don't just check out on them, where you communicate with them. Hey, that really upset me when you said that, and that hurt my feelings. And can we come back to this? Can we come around back to this one thing? Because I want to get through it. I don't want to ignore it. I want to talk about it. And how many long-term relationships do we currently have now that we know that we've invested our life into, and we love the other person, and we see the best, and we want the best, and we strive to continue to grow together? Because if you don't have healthy relationships around you, and you get a new best friend every other year, you might want to reconsider looking for a relationship and start to heal some things in your life that is preventing you from wanting to cut people off when they get annoying, or when you get annoying, or when they cut you off. And because I know a lot of people that don't have a lot of close relationships, and that's some of the issues is they want a relationship like a relation, like, what do you call it, romantic relationship, but they don't have friendships that they can glean from and grow from that are long term, to know that they've invested, not only they've invested, but others have invested in this relationship as well. And I think that's a good reflection as to what your romantic relationship could be, because if you're willing and you know what it takes, long-term relationships take a lot of work, and it takes commitment, and it takes long haul ups and downs and annoyances and angers, and you got to make allowance for that.
Yeah. And that's part of, accepting people as they are. Guess what? We want the best for each other. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not trying to change the nature of who my baby is, She's not trying to change the nature of who I am, So that's the cool part about wanting to get into a relationship, is that you got to be very understanding and knowing. Guess what? You can't change their nature. That's
if I tried, buddy, I could not change your nature.
And let me help y'all out. You know, if you get annoyed as hell at yourself, how you expect somebody else not to get annoyed with your tail every now and then? Okay.
I get on my nerve all the time.
Come on, baby. I'm telling you. I mean, ain't nothing like when you be annoying yourself. You be like, okay, come on now. I know better than this. Yeah. But guess what? We do. We tick our own selves off about ourselves. So you got to be like, let me get to the point where I can be all right with me. And then when I meet this other person that I'm getting in a relationship, that I'm all right with them being them and not trying to change their nature. Guess what? We want the best for each other. We want to motivate and encourage each other. But guess what? The nature of who I am, and that's me, man. And that's part of us accepting each other for who we are.
Yeah, and don't try to be a chameleon and become what everyone else wants. Don't be like, whatever you need, I'll become. Like, be who you are, but be the best version of you for you. Ooh. Because we don't attract what we want. We attract who we are.
Yeah. That you can't say that statement enough. Yeah. Don't look for somebody to complete you. That's not their job. Oh my God. I wish people would get that. Do not look for somebody to complete you. The cool part was my wife was whole when I met her. I was whole when she met me, and then we became two whole people. We went into the relationship with 100, and that's beautiful. I don't think the 50-50 thing is really the truth. You got to go in there knowing, guess what? I'm complete in who I am. I'm the one that, feeds my love tank. So guess what? That's not pressure on your significant other to fill your love tank. It's those things that, guess what? They can add. So I love saying it, my baby was a 10 when I met her. Then when I came into her life, she became a 10 plus. Same thing with me. We added to each other. But in all actuality, to tell you the truth, my wife, if she left me, she still would be a 10. So guess what? That's she wasn't there. I wasn't there to complete her. I was there to enhance, just like she has been a blessing to enhance me. And I think there's not enough of that. No completion. That's not your job. It's to enhance each other. Mm-hmm. So, in order not to complete each other, can you tell me this going into a relationship? Are you happy with just being single? Yeah, we just said, remember, the other person ain't supposed to complete you. Are you happy with being single? Can you be happy with just being with you? Do you have to always be around somebody, always doing something to feel complete? Can you just be single and be happy and I'm cool and content with myself?
Yeah, it might be a season. Yeah. But, you're talking sometimes that, are you codependent? Do you need to be around other people? Do you need to be entertained? Do you need to be cared for? And there are some people who will want to be, and they just want a sugar daddy and they want to just live an easy life. And I get that, but it's not going to bring us actual joy.
Right.
Like living your purposeful life will bring you joy. Yeah. And when you discover your purpose and you just find what makes, what gives you passion and what drives you to get up and fill your days, it won't be another person. It won't be another You know, like when we have a baby, I get that will happen, but we're talking about romantic relationships. Children are different. Don't look for them to be your purpose.
Yeah.
Or them to give you purpose.
Yeah. Are you strong enough to live your life by yourself until the right person comes along to share it with? That's a big doozy right there. Because what ends up happening is when you search for somebody in your loneliness, you will find yourself with the first person who gives some interest to your life and you are interested in them. But in all actuality, you'll only be committed to those who should deserve you. I think that's really big. You should only commit your life to those who deserve you. Guess what? Because you love yourself, and I always use it like this. Once I felt like I was a king, now I can go look for a queen. Once you're a queen, now you can go look for a king. But the thing about it is you are already royalty before that person even gets there. And I think that's something people really need to work on.
Yeah, and what does deserve mean? I think it means those who are willing to invest, commit, and strive towards the same goals you are in this relationship. If they're not willing to commit to be in the same relationship, to commit to you, to strive to be the best person they can be for themselves, therefore enhancing your life, and to make concessions for each of yours limitations and to help where you might be weaker and vice versa. If they're not willing to like figure all that out and say, I see it all and I'm still here and let's just walk this out together.
Yeah.
And I'm here with you until we figure out what's our next step. That's it. That's who's deserving. That's who's deserving. And if they're not willing to do either one of those things, like, why are you even in this relationship when you're feeling lonelier than you were by yourself?
Yeah, and that's why you should be happy before that other person comes along. That you should be happy.
There's so many things to fill our days.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that allow us to grow. There's so many free resources out there that help us. There's learn a new instrument, learn to paint, go do a new sport. Like, there's so many different things. You don't have to be lonely if you're alone. Yeah. There's so many things to fill our days. We don't have enough time in the day to do the things. I don't have enough time in the day to do the things I want to do. So why are you tolerating, or why are you committed to someone who's barely tolerating your commitment to be in something they don't want to be in?
Yeah. Another one of those great points that has to be brought up is when you know you're ready for a relationship is when your ex is no longer a factor. We all have a past, and a new person in our lives needs to be able to accept that. But we also must accept that about ourselves and be able to leave that ex in the past. You do not want to bring no old baggage into your new relationship. So if you haven't been healed or delivered or set free from that other person, do not get in another relationship and actually torture the person that you're in a relationship with, talking about your ex and your past. That is so important. There's nothing bringing up a point here, point there. But when you have not been fully, like I said, set free, delivered from that other person, man, don't get into no relationship. You're not ready. Remember, I want you to be whole first before you get into a relationship.
Yeah, and that's completely. I was dating a guy before I met you, and honestly, it was. I mean, we were like best friends. We worked together, and we're still friends. But it took me saying, you know what, I want a committed relationship. I want something for the future, and I believe that it's possible. That means we cannot communicate. I mean, all ties. You have to cut all ties off. And if you're able, or if you're not able to to talk about your ex with your friend and not be completely heated about it, you're not over them.
Right.
You're not over them. If you can't have all these emotions, you're not over them. You need to heal a little bit more and let your heart get over that. Let your heart detox from the last relationship you had.
Yeah. and you know, we got to be obvious here. If you got kids with that other person, then guess what? Yeah, we still gotta, you know, we can't cut all ties, and there can't be no communication, none of that, because we still got kids together. So part of that healing process before you get into the new relationship is, guess what? We're on one accord that the kids are top priority. We're gonna do what we got to do with this, you know, relationship and communicate the best we can. But if there's kids involved, yeah, it's just not cut and dry. You know, you got to make sure you still stay friendly with the ex, because guess what? We have kids together, you know. So in most situations, you know, to truly move on, we need to spend time completely cut off from them if there's no kids, you know, involved. No communication, no time together, nothing. I mean, sometimes you got to cut that thing, because some people will get dragged on into this relationship when then they met this significant other person that was phenomenal and great. But because you still had strings attached to the old person, you can't fully receive the gift of what this new person can really truly bring to your life. Mm-hmm. So you gotta be ready. So part of, you know, adding on to that one is you got to be ready to blend your lives together with someone else, you know, because guess what? You know, when me and my baby had to go into our relationship, you know, we had to blend our families together. And that took work, you know, it had to be like, we got to really commit to, if we're going to do this, guess what? It wasn't just us. It was our kids. And it was amazing. Even at the year into it, we added in more kids, you know, so it's you got to be ready to blend your life with somebody else's life, you know, because we live in a day and time now, almost any relationship that you get in, almost all, I ain't gonna say always, but man, I swear over about a good 65-70% of the time, those people that would get into a relationship have kids, you know. So that's where you have to say, you know what, we got to blend this thing together and make it work to the best of our abilities. When a relationship cannot be your entire life, it doesn't permeate, honestly, in its entirety. You gotta say, you know what, I'm really to invest everything into this relationship. But you go slowly at the beginning, and then you just keep on blending it in more and more and more until that thing becomes something beautiful.
So this is what I would like our listeners to do. So take a moment, go get a piece of paper, and I want you to write on the top of it, make a list of what I want in a spouse, what I want for a committed relationship, and then write all those things that you're looking for. Like for me, one of those things was like somebody who loves God. I want somebody who's committed to being in a relationship with God first. Amen. Because from that, they will trickle into having a healthy relationship with me. Because if they need some sort of standard, they need some sort of moral value system that matches mine. That was for me. They need to love kids. They need to be healthy, like physically healthy. They're taking care of themselves. They're taking care of their body. They're eating right. These are things that are important to me, because if they take care of themselves, they're going to want to take care of me, and they want to take care of the family. I need someone who's financially stable. Make a list of all those attributes, all those values that you are looking for. Maybe that's somebody, you know, who is kind and compassionate, somebody who is willing to show up when no one else will, someone who's willing to work with you and through, someone who's willing to help with the house, someone who's, you know, most of us look at the physical attributes first and foremost, someone who's so tall or so short, someone who's looks a certain way, or maybe a certain culture. And I want you to write a list of every single thing you're looking for in a spouse. And then when you're done writing that list, I want you to go to the very top where it says what I'm looking for in a spouse. This is kind of like your prayer. And I want you to erase that. And I want you to write, this is what I'm preparing myself to do. So you are going to be loving God. You are going to be healthy. You are going to be financially stable. You are going to be kind. You are going to be compassionate. You are going to be loving children. Whatever those list is for you, those are things that you are to become. So erase that top, and you're going to write things I am becoming. That's how we prepare ourselves to be in a relationship. And all the things that we expect from another is things we should first become ourselves. Because again, we do not attract what we want. We attract who we are.
So it's important, man. These are a lot of things we want you guys to be thinking about in this day and time, man. We ain't got time to waste. So this is something that you really should take seriously. Because until you can be that person, and until that person comes along, it's important to work on ourselves and to find our own happiness, which we can then share with them. When you are ready, you will know.
And on a sidebar, if you are in a relationship that you are not ready to commit, but the other person is, have the courage to tell them, so they don't invest 6 months to 6 years waiting for you to change your mind. Have the courage to say, you know what? I'm not where you want to be. And I don't know when I'm going to be there or if I'm ever going to be there.
Yeah.
Do the right thing and say, I'm not going to continue this relationship because it's not what's best for you. Think of others and no, just trying to get your piece.
Ooh, what a way to end this thing right here. Yes. Family, you know we love you. We care about you. You know, we don't just do this just to be doing it.
We want the best for you.
We want the best for you.
And you deserve the very best for you.
Don't you? My God, man. Well, this is a wonderful segue out of here. Guys, we love you. We want the best for you. We're praying for you. We ask that you will let God have his way. And man, we ain't got nothing but love for you. This is another episode of the Bacon Biz Podcast. We love you. God bless. All right, what's up, family? It's your boy, John Bacon from the Bacon Biz Podcast. Thank you so much for your support, likes, and ratings. Please don't just listen, but rate me, follow me, and subscribe. This is an amazing way to offer free support. My beautiful queen and I have some books that we have written for your growth.
So the first book we have is a workbook, actually. It's called Healthy Relationships, and this is a workbook through the lens of faith. Because what makes a relationship healthy or unhealthy? So this workbook is designed, it's a 12-week, it's a biblically grounded course, and every week has a few different principles. So some of our principles, some of our topics that we're covering are respect, cultivating security. And this is not just between a husband and wife. This is between parents, between siblings, between friends, between your bosses, employers. So it's really important, and everyone deserves a healthy relationship.
And also we have The Balanced Life by John Bacon. It covers how to be prosperous in your finances, relationships, your health, your mind, and your spirit. So you can pick that up on Amazon, also on audiobook. And we also have
The Unraveling, a creative healing journal, pinings, poems, prayers, and ponderings of my precarious life. I've had a testimony of, I've had 2 brain tumors and 2 brain surgeries, and I'm super grateful, but I'm still grieving the process of healing. And this is part of the process. In this book, you have devotionals, you have prayers, and you have some ponderings. And in between these pages, there's a space for you to also be prompted to paint and to create your own, or maybe you want to write something in these books. This is part of your creative healing journal that we get to walk through together. And
you guys can just head over to Kingdom Servants First. Kingdom Servants, the number 1, st.com. And you can purchase all 3 of these books. Thank you for your support, your love, and your contributions. God bless.